My first encounter with the Maриинский institution and the Maриинский Symphonic Orchestra, I am very impressed by the people and the music and the level of the orchestra. Very nice to be here. In Norway we have school orchestras. After we start in school, now we start in school at the age of 6, and then it is normal to start in school orchestras. And when I started, there was vacancies on saxophone, so I chose this instrument. I wanted to play the drums, but my mother was scared that it would be too much noise. So I don't know, maybe in desperation she put me onto something else. But already from the age of 8, I started the saxophone. When I started to play in the school orchestra, it was for the social part. It was for fun, to develop the musicality, but it was not with the aim of being a professional. And many times I wanted to quit. I think when I became a teenager, I was really thinking about quitting to play. Because sometimes I did not feel that I mastered it enough, and I had to use a lot of time to practice, which was boring. You know, I wanted to be with friends. But all the time my parents, they encouraged me to continue. And then suddenly I discovered the happiness of practicing and playing. I started to play in a band. We had a rock, funk band. By the time I finished the middle school, before going to the high school, I decided that I wanted to pursue a musical education with the aim of becoming a professional. And at this point, my parents, they were encouraging, but maybe a little bit reluctant to my choice, because, of course, being a professional musician, it has some challenges and limitations. But they have always supported me in my choice. Actually, when I was in high school, I already went 1 year to France to study with one of the most renowned professors of saxophone there, Jean-Yves Formeau. And it was a fantastic meeting with a large saxophone culture in France, probably the foremost country of classical saxophone. It was very interesting to try to match the level of the saxophonists in France and to feel how they master the instrument at such a high level. Actually, I wanted to try the conservatory in Oslo, but at the time I was not good enough. So, but I was accepted in Tromsø, in the north of Norway, and it was my first time in Tromsø, and I really fell in love with this small and charming city, with the air and the nature and the water, the nice people. I had many opportunities to play concerts because there are not so many musicians there, and it was much more easy for me to develop as a musician in the small town of Tromsø than in probably it would have been in the large city of Oslo. So finally I am very happy for how my choice of education. I think saxophone, it is a very interesting instrument because you have so much possibilities. I think there are no instruments, maybe except trumpet, piano and double bass, that you can really combine. You can use it in jazz and classical music at such an extent. But in general, people choose to follow the path of jazz or to follow the path of classical music. Also, my teachers, they always told me I have to choose. Either I play jazz or I play the classical music. But I've always found it very hard to choose between those two directions. It is of course not so easy to be at the high level in both genres. But at the same time, this is what makes it possible for me to be a classical soloist. To play as a classical soloist with orchestra is there are not so many opportunities for classical saxophonists with orchestra. And in between I also need to earn money and earn my living. So by combining jazz and classical music and folk music, I'm actually able to do regular concerts all through the year, and I can work on long term with the soloist concert with orchestra. I wanted to show both Norwegian and Russian music. It is one of the most famous works for saxophone and orchestra is written by the Russian composer Alexander Glazunov, who was from Sankt Petersburg, I believe. And it is an honor to play it here with such an orchestra as the Maриинский orchestra. It's a different way of playing the music, of course, the Russian music here in Russia, than when you play it in Europe, because you understand the music at a different level than we do. I have played the Glazunov concerto with other Russian orchestras, and I think it is absolutely beautiful music with so much influence by Rimsky-Korsakov, of course, and Tchaikovsky. And I think each time I play it, although it's probably the most played saxophone work, I discover something new, something interesting with the music. And for the Norwegian part of the program, I chose Kjell Habbestad's work for saxophone, Norwegian Dream, Un rêve norvégien. It was a work that I commissioned in 2001 for my teacher at the time, who was from France, Jean-Yves Formand. It has been played just a couple of times with wind orchestra, but because of the complexity of the work, it was so difficult to find orchestras to present it. So the dream of Kjell and me has always been to present it with a full symphonic orchestra. And actually the concert here at Maриинский, it is the premiere of a full symphonic version of this piece. So we are very happy to present this to the Russian audience. It is really the core of Norwegian music, because it is a musical adoption of a medieval poem, a medieval ballad from an unknown author, but probably one of the most important lyrical works in Norwegian literature. It has a side, the content of the poem is equal or similar to the story of Dante's Inferno, which is probably more known to the Russian audience. It is about a dream. A man sleeps until sleeps through the whole Christmas time, and dreams that he goes to the underworld and to paradise, and he sees how the good and bad fights each other, and learns how we should act our lives to achieve paradise. It's very dramatic and colorful history that Kjell Habbestad has adopted in music. And in this adoption he uses a lot of folkloric fragments or folk-like melodies. And I think it's very interesting to work with this music, because it is the dance side of the music, a lot of dance parts, dancing parts of the phrasing. And you also have the recitativo side of it. It is like the saxophone is reciting the poem and the text. And really the form is built up as the verses of the poem. It is 52 verses. And there's always a refrain between the verse. So the form is, at the first hearing, it may sound very complicated, but actually it is very logical and chronological and simple.